Welcome to UIC 101, the Academic Professional Non-Reappointment Process. The Academic Professional Non-Reappointment Process is a process by which an AP's employment is terminated. It is a specific process that must be followed at UIC and may require significant advance notice prior to separation. It may also require reassignment of the employee. What you need to know includes an overview of the non-reappointment process, how to determine an AP's notice rights, how and when to give notice, a manager's responsibilities in the non-reappointment process, and special circumstances that may impact notice rights. AP employment is a contract of appointment. Each appointment has a specific ending date, and there is no right to indefinite continued reappointment. Some types of APs are entitled to advance notice of non-reappointment. Other types of APs are not entitled to advance notice. Notice requirements might extend the last day of work past the end date of the AP's current contract. The process for non-reappointment is as follows. 1. Review unit criteria for non-reappointment. 2. Review special concerns related to the decision. 3. Determine the AP's notice rights. 4. Make the reappointment decision with respect to the AP. 5. Give notice to the AP. And 6. Continue to manage the AP after notice has been given. The unit may decide not to reappoint an AP, as each unit determines its own criteria to make reappointment decisions. These must be legitimate business reasons and must be based on non-discriminatory criteria. When considering non-reappointment decisions, first determine if there are any special concerns. For instance, if there is suspicion of criminal activity, such as violence, threats, theft, fraud, or drugs, contact the police immediately. If there is any threat of violence or harm, contact emergency services. You should also contact Labor and Employee Relations or University Counsel. If there are employment policy violations, such as the AP losing required credentials, failing to report to work, refusing to perform assigned work, or appearing on a government sanctions list, or legality concerns, such as the AP claiming discrimination, is a whistleblower, or on family or medical leave, military caregiver leave, or workers' compensation, contact Labor and Employment Relations or University Counsel. If there are ethical concerns, such as violations of the Ethics and Political Activity Act as noted in the required annual training, contact the University Ethics Office. As a general rule, APs who are employed less than 100% full-time or who are visiting, acting, or interim have no notice rights. All other APs have notice rights of varied lengths. To determine the length of the AP's notice rights, you will need to access the Notification of Appointment, or NOA form, via DART. Employees may access their NOA forms via NESI. On the NOA form, you will find the AP's title, job FTE, class, service basis, and length of employment. You will also find the source of funds for the AP. An asterisk next to the source of funds indicates soft funding. Absence of the asterisk indicates hard or state funding. If the source of funding is from soft funds, the AP will have 2 to 12 months notice rights based on the length of employment. See HR Policy 1205 to determine the exact amount. If the source of funding is from state or hard funds, the AP will have 6 months notice rights if employed for less than 4 years, and 12 months notice rights if employed for 4 years or more. If the AP is a director or coach of intercollegiate athletics, the AP will have 3 months notice rights if employed for less than 4 years, and 6 months notice rights if employed for 4 years or more. When determining notice rights for an AP, you should always review the Notification of Employment form, HR Policy 1205, and if you have questions, contact the HR Service Center. When making a reappointment decision, you should be able to answer the following questions. Does the AP meet unit criteria for non-reappointment? Are there any special concerns? Does the AP have notice rights? If so, how many months? And when does the AP's existing employment contract end? Issue of a T contract is required for all employees with notice rights. It may be given at any time and may be extended after being issued. With rare exceptions, a T contract does not cut short an AP's existing employment contract. This means an AP will remain employed for the full length of their existing contract or the full duration of the required notice period, whichever is longer. To issue a T contract, you must first prepare a letter of non-reappointment. A template has been included in the PDF version of this presentation. The letter of non-reappointment is then processed via HR front-end, thereby requesting the Board of Trustees to issue a T contract. The Board of Trustees must issue a revised contract known as a Notice of Non-Reappointment, or NONR. It is this revised NONR that serves as the official T contract. The NONR will show the AP's last day of employment. However, plan ahead, as the NONR requires up to 4 weeks to process. Consider a scenario in which you have an AP with 6 months notice rights whose existing contract ends August 1st, 2010. If you issue a letter of non-reappointment on January 1st, a T contract will be issued by January 29th, meaning the employee's 6 months notice will occur before the end of the existing contract. In this scenario, the employee's end date will be August 1st, 2010. In a similar scenario, if the letter of non-reappointment is processed March 1st, a T contract will be issued by March 29th. The AP's 6 months notice rights will extend employment beyond the current contract, making the effective end date September 29, 2010. If the letter of non-reappointment was not processed until July 20th, the AP's contract would be renewed before a T contract could be issued. In this scenario, the AP would remain employed for the full duration of the renewed contract, making the effective end date August 1st, 2011. As you can see, timing of the T contract is critical to managing non-reappointment. In dealing with APs who have notice rights, a manager should prepare a letter of non-reappointment, consider whether the employee needs to be reassigned or security access changes need to be made, prepare speaking points and meet with the employee to deliver the letter of non-reappointment and to discuss expectations, process the letter of non-reappointment via HR front-end, and then continue to manage the AP to fulfill expectations for the duration of employment. In dealing with APs who do not have notice rights, no T contract need be issued and no form or transaction is required. However, a verbal or written reminder that the appointment will end should be provided to the AP. Once an AP has been given notice of non-reappointment, communication to others should be provided on a need-to-know basis and should include operationally appropriate information. For more detail and specific guidelines, please see the PDF version of this presentation. If you have further questions about this topic, please refer to the appropriate UIC department for support. Thank you for watching. We hope this Working at UIC 101 module has been helpful.